All right, guys. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah to all my Muslim audience who tune in. Um, I know this was kind of spare of the moment that I decided to go live. However, I just wanted to do some Ramadan reflections and, try to keep it as cordial as possible. Try to keep it as PG as possible during Ramadan. Because it's important that we understand, and we are aware of the things that we say. So that's including me, that I'm aware of the things that I say, because I don't want to just fall into the trap where I'm saying anything and then the thing I say, like, kind of like defeats the purpose of the fasting. But the thing is, if I were to talk about, as a matter of fact, I would probably have to do like 3 shows to talk about the man that I'm going to talk about today. And also, I would have to do, just a show on his biography alone. Just his body of work alone. I mean, anything I say really can't do this individual justice. Um, but I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I can, and I'm going to bring it back around to how it applies to Western society today. You know, So during Ramadan, of course, I put all my political books to the side and I start reading my spiritual books. And I'm reading a book about a very, very significant figure. His name is Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. We call him Kadim Rasul. We also call him Serene Tuba. He has many different names. Okay. Um, but the thing is that a lot of a lot of times what happens is that people have a misconception of something that they don't know a lot about. And while I shouldn't say this, I will say this, but I practice the Orthodox Islam. And part of that orthodoxy of Islam is belonging to a tariqah. And a tariqah is a brotherhood. And that brotherhood focuses on spiritual purification, uh, which means purifying yourself of the lower passions that you may have or the flaws that you may have. It's not an easy path because of the simple fact of where we are, but it's a matter of like where we're trying to get to. And also it's a matter of like the help will come from Allah, inshallah, to get to that place. Um Now, the thing is about Surin Tuba, okay? And this goes in the face of all these so-called Pan-Africanists and all these so-called pro-wax and all these so-called Hotep, Slow-Tep, No-Step people. It's that Surin Tuba, may Allah be pleased with him, may Allah have mercy on him, was born in 1853 in a village in Senegal, and that's where he gets his name from, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Mbake. Okay. Um, because he was born in a village that his dad named Mbake. Now, the thing is about Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba is he showed a like a I guess you can say a knack for learning very early on. He memorized the Quran at a very young age, and his parents were also very, very pious people as well. You had his dad, More Antisali. He was a judge uh, in in regards to religious matters in the court of the king at the time. I think the king's name was, I think it was like Makuba or something like that, or it could have been Lat Dor Jope. It was one of those. And his mom had the name of she was called Dry Jaratullah because of her piety. And the thing is about Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba is that he didn't do what the younger kids did. As a matter of fact, when he heard drums and things like that, there was actually like a discomfort that he would experience in regards to like drums and things like that. He didn't really like those kind of things. He didn't really like the kind of amusements which were being offered at the time when he was even a kid. He would devote himself to study. He would devote himself to worship of God. And the thing is, he covered all the religious sciences. He covered everything. He covered the Quran, of course. He covered the tafsir, of course. He covered the fiqh, of course. He covered the Arabic grammar and conjugation of verbs and morphation or morphing of verbs. He covered nahu, sarf. He also covered poetry, balaga. He also covered those other sciences too that are not necessarily required religious sciences, such as mathematics, astronomy, and the like thereof. I think he also did medicine. Let me double check and see if he did that. Give me a second. I believe he did. Let me check. Yes, he studied mathematics, um, and astronomy and logic. So he studied like Hisab. He studied the study of the stars, and he also studied Mantiq, which is logic. So he covered all the Islamic sciences and he covered them with the Shayuk of his time, but he also covered them with Shayuk in neighboring Mauritania. And in neighboring Mauritania is where I believe he got initiated into the one of the tariqas, which we call Qadiriya. And he never renounced that tariqa of Qadiriya. He always kept Qadiriya, but he also practiced and took the litanies of the Tijaniya and Shadaliya as well. Um, Now, the thing is about him is that what made him like I guess you can say an outlier at his time is that he was able to make complicated books into like very complicated religious books. He was able to turn it into a poetry form. So it just it added to his prestige that he was able to take these complicated books and make it so accessible to the people, and most of the people were Wolof, you know um, and this is one of the gifts that he had. So when it came to books of Tawheed, when it came to books of fiqh, when it came to books of spirituality, when it came to books of Arabic grammar, he was able to turn them into verse form. Okay, and these would all, the points of the books will all be understood by the verse form that he did. So this is what makes him unique. This is what makes him stand out, is that he was able to do such a thing, you know. Now, one must, wonder like what made him so hated, unfortunately. And the thing is he was garnering a lot of followers. Like many people were following him. But he just never asked for them to really follow them him, so to say. He just wanted to get the knowledge out, the basic Islamic knowledge, because things got very, very corrupted where he was, you know. But the thing is, the French made him go through so many things. And I want to highlight something, and I'm going to look at my notes that we need to look at about this, because this is a misconception. Because with Islam, there's a time for everything. Like, there's a time for armed struggle, and there's also a time for non-armed struggle. When you look at our brothers in Palestine, may Allah help them and give them victory. They have no choice but to do armed struggle, because the enemy is not going to, the enemy is not going to stop. He's just going to keep on going and going. That's the thing, So this needs to be understood in those lenses. So let me go ahead and read some things about, about him in regards to that, in regards to what he did. Um, so they use that word jihad, right? Um, the thing is, it says that there can be that jihad has many different, like, meanings, and the most accurate meaning is just basically sincerity and action and struggling in oneself is like the main meaning of it, right? Um, so there is actually a struggle that could be done without the struggle of the AK, or the struggle of the sword, and that's the one on the self, right? Now, um the thing is that there's different types of struggles that one can make. um the struggle of being chaste, that's a struggle in itself. The struggle of being pure, that's a struggle in itself. The struggle of, like, trying to provide for your family, that's a struggle in itself. um the search for knowledge, trying to elevate yourself in knowledge, that's a struggle in itself. Writing, educating, teaching others the right thing, that's a struggle in itself. um so yes, that's the kind of struggle he waged. um Now, he even says something very, very telling, and this kind of inspired monk mode, with me. Now, I do still cover, these kind of current events that we see every day, aka with the therapists of TikTok. I still cover it, but Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said the best jihad is the one that consists in avoiding thinking about things that are no concern to us. you know the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba also said that, I have fought with the pen against those who never believe, and through my Lord praises the devout, I have fought Trinitarians with prose. Now they dare not speak about Trinity. I have fought people who declared that the nature of Allah, the one, is threefold. I have defeated them with the word, say Allah is one. He said, my writings are like swords and spears, a cause of satisfaction for him who has been generous and indulgent to me. He also said that my writings embarrass the non-believer. So when we look at, like, the the situation we're in right now, in terms of the gynocracy, in terms of liberalism, in terms of feminism and things like that, there's a knowledge cure, and that knowledge cure is followed up by an action cure, you know and the answer is definitely not going to be, right, the answer is definitely not going to be a physical struggle, although these modern women will, try to make it physical for some reason, because they've been told that they can be as strong as men, and that they can beat men up. That's what they've been told, right? But we know that anybody who knows better knows that is not going to be the case, right? So, what does it come down to? It comes down to the intellectual struggle, right? That's what it comes down to. It's the intellectual struggle and also the moral upright struggle, trying to be excellent in these times, you know? He said the outcome. So, and this is the important thing about seeking knowledge because they said the outcome of knowledge is fear of Allah. Achieve this is only an ignorant. He who does not achieve this is only an ignorant person worthy of reprimand. It also say who does not fear the Lord of the worlds is not a scholar, even if he studied all the arts of knowledge. So let's let's take that a little deeper. Like these women brag about, oh, I got my degree, I got my master's, I got my bachelor's. You can't tell me nothing. But what is that degree without fear of God? What is that degree without self-awareness? What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. So you may have your degree and things like that, but if you don't have any fear of God, then okay, you know. So he said, um, now this is how you know he was red pill back then. I'm gonna tell you why he was red pill back then. So, you know, the thing is, unfortunately, during his time, the French were there. But before I go into that, let me just kind of give a physical description of him. He's on my avatar, by the way. But to give a physical description of him is that he was um not too he was the middle in terms of brownness. Like he was brown, but he wasn't like hella light brown, but he wasn't hella dark brown either. He was like in between. Um, although he was thin, because he got exiled for a long time of his life, he was exiled in Gabon and also Mauritania. Because he was exiled for a long time, he was still very, very strong. Despite being kind of on the thin side, lift side, he was very, very strong. Um, he had a long beard. Nobody was really able to see his beard due to the simple fact that he covered his face. Now another thing about him, and this goes in the face of, again, what I want to say, these hotep slow step, no step people, is that he's probably the most prolific writer in Islam. He wrote 7 tons of works, seven metric tons. Some say 7.5. I don't want to give out too much information, but when I touch down where I'm going, I will show you, everything that he wrote. Or not everything, but just the endless library of things that he wrote. Okay. He wrote a lot. He wrote a very, very lot. Okay. He wrote a lot. Now, now, the crazy thing is that what he wrote, like the things that were happening, it's crazy that those things that were happening at that time are unfortunately kind of parallel to what's happening today. And he was trying to stop that, erase that, so um, you know, in Senegalese society at the time, there was um ignorance, cor- violent form of struggle, ignorance, corruption, hypocrisy, polytheism, associationism, witchcraft, pride, vanity, laziness, misguidance, blameworthy innovation, chaos, despotism of princes, and violence had been rampant in Senegalese society. People were engaged in ramping ambushes, rapes, and injustice before the brutal assault of the French troops who occupied their lands. These troops then began to show their strength, rob people of their property and land, threaten people with prison, exile, or deletion. Some scholars and princes joined the colonial forces. The demons incited them to do so. They were men who lacked will and sincerity. Their plan in life was limited to following their instincts and taking advantage of circumstances to gratify their pleasures while their fellow citizens were enslaved. They obeyed their new masters and worshiped them. Sheikh Mohammedul Bashir and Bakke wrote, Sheikh Qadim was born at a time when knowledge was rarer than a phoenix and when Sufism was reduced to a few relics. Allah attached him to his knowledge and opened his eyes to contemplation. He made him aware of the immoral going ons in the world in such a way that he felt repulsed by them and showed him that those who claim to be the masters of the world, which is like a Nasrenes, were in no position to prove it. He then turned away from worldly things. So, when you look at this, you look at the situation that we have today, and you see some of the same things going on. You see a lot of corruption, you see a lot of immorality, see women using guys on foodie dates, you see women just taking advantage of men, you see women not sincere in their intention. You also see men who are not, not adding anything good to it by number one, entertaining these women, and also um number two, giving in to these women, thinking that these women are going to change or strike a truce with them, you know, or even in some cases collaborating with them, you know, in certain manners that should not be collaborated upon, you know. Now, he said, I think the Maggie is Muslim in Wolof slang. He said the Magi and the Christians seduced by Satan have become his hostages. They seem to be drunk and their minds have changed in their demise. Their leader has fallen very low. They have lost their superiority. They toil night and day to earn wrath of the only opponents. Their eldest is merciless to their youngest, and their youngest does not follow their eldest. They lose all their lives in action that anger the Creator. Satan incites them to waywardness and hastens their ruin. He has seduced them with his tricks and turned them into tyrants who oppress people in every country. The people follow their passions. The ignorant believe that they are superior, worthy of all respect. All the fools and the naive believe all the fools and the naive believe that they are Lord worthy of majesty and power. They obey them by they obey them by committing adultery, theft, and other equally perverse acts. Some of them have forgotten the Almighty. They have no fear and have forgotten His messengers. Some neglected acts of obedience and have entrusted their fate to the rebels, forgetting that everything that happens depends on the merciful Creator, the Master of Destiny. Some transgress the elementary rules of prayer by performing it hastily, ignoring pauses. At the time of prayer, you see them hurrying along by pecking roosters, the heart turned towards all over the place, and the body standing but empty of all knowledge. They seek cunning ways to avoid hunger and thirst, and their hearts are troubled by cowardice and doubt, for they do not know that Allah the Creator has secured for every creature a substance. Ignorance causes some people to bring forward prayer times to attend to worldly matters, insisting bringing forth the prayers in order to quickly attend trivial matters. Therefore, praying before the hour thus committing a sin deserving all the contempt of Allah. Others prefer to delay the prayer. At the suggestion of Shaitan, the master of all vices, you see them fretting over ephemeral things to the point of forgetting prayer times. Only when their business has done will they pray in vain, depriving themselves of the mercy of Allah. They say that the advancing prayers is like overdoing them. They do not they do not they do not know that advancing prayers or delaying them does not yield any benefit. Some allow themselves to be seduced by the Christians, um, to the point of wishing to be like them. Now I want to go back and go forward. Now on there it said that let me see. So he said that they seek cunning ways to avoid hunger and thirst. And I'm going to show you how modern women actually seek cunning ways of avoiding hunger and thirst, okay? And also I'm going to show you how um Muslim women have decided that they do want to be like Christian women, and also um be like, I guess you can say, the feminists, because the feminists will claim to be God fearing and things like that, but we know that's the farthest thing from the truth, and we know that it's actually opposite. They think they are God. You know, so with that being said, those were the times that Serene Tuba was living in. You know, um, and so with those times that he was living in, he had no choice but to take upon the mission of basically doing something that has pretty much never been done before. I think when he came, this was actually after Sheikh Usman Dan Fodio came, and I guess he saw, and this was also after Sheikh El Hajj Umar, two historical figures in African Islamic history who decided to mount an armed struggle against the French and the British, respectfully. Um, I guess he knew that it was it it was, I guess, it would have been kind of futile to basically, engage with the French, because for the simple fact that he was outgunned, for the simple fact that he was outnumbered, you know, for the simple fact that they had superior weaponry, for the simple fact that, unfortunately, the colonial powers were in cahoots with him. With the colonial powers were in cahoots with some of the traditional teachers at that time. So, with that being said, he was disenfranchised with his community, his country at the time. But when you look at it, he didn't have illusions. He didn't have a picture of the world in a way that it really was not. Okay? He had a clear picture of the world. So, I guess you can say that at the time of his being on this earth, he was the Neo of his time. He was the Neo of his time, and he had a team of cadre. that thought along the same lines as him, you know. You know how they say Neo in the Matrix. So his form of the red pill, though, was knowledge of the religion and fear of God, and also self awareness, self control, and just um, not the knowledge cure, but also the action cure in his writings. Okay. And one thing I want to say about his writings, okay, again, if I talk about him, I would be talking about him all day. The things that make his writings the things that make his writings unique is that he was able to he was able to he was able to, you know how people talk about hip hop and stuff like that, and how there's a rhyme scheme. He was able to do that. He was able to do that with his writings. And this is what's was very, very unique about Sering Tuba. I'll just give you an example of like just one of his writings. Um, you know, like for example, every time he wrote, the last letter would be in the next stanza, would be in the next line. Okay. So this is what was genius about the man, is that he found a way. Okay, I don't know how, but it was through God, of course. But he found a way basically to make everything makes number one, he found a way to make everything make sense that he was writing. But he also found a way to make everything make sense that what he was writing while keeping the last letter on each of the lines, keeping the same last letter on each of the lines. So I'll give an example. Let me just find an example real quick. Okay, I'll just give a real quick example. So for example, there's a prayers there's a praise poem of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, and it's in Arabic. So if you look at it and you listen to the sounds, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So for example, he said, like, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like music, but I want to say that it's kind of like a rhythmic kind of thing when you're reciting these what they call casitas. So there was one that starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and it goes with Qalu fi um Dalal ilil karati mustasha fi bihi illa kairati. Then it goes awalu akulu fi salati. Then Allah Nabi Sahibi Ayati. Musayla it says Musaliya Allah Nabi Muhammadi Ada Jumu'i Thumma Ada Mufridi. It says Muslima ala Rasuli Mustafa wa ahlihi wa sahbihi wa kullafa. So as you see, he has a rhyme scheme, but he's actually saying something. So it's like you hear, for example, Wasala Rabi Adada Awa Rawi Ala Nabi Sahibi Burawawi. Okay? Wasali Rabi Adada Rukniki Ala Nabi Habuta Bi Kawariki. So he has a rhyme scheme every time he's saying something. Wasala Rabi Ada Torabi Ala Nabi Sahibi Mihrabi. So basically that says, for example, may Allah may the Lord bless even the dirt, his dirt, you know. And then it says, may Allah basically bless illuminate him like a lamp. So everything he says, it has a purpose, but it's rhyming. He has the I don't know, the rhyme scheme he has in his writings I've never seen before, in my life when it came to scholarly works, but if you again, if I talk about Serene Tuba, it'll take too long for me to finish, but due to the corruption at his time, you know, d- so you have to look at it. If it was that bad back then, okay, how are we living right now? So what I'm gonna do is, since I've talked about Serene Tuba for about 30 minutes, you know, there's just too many works to even talk about Serene Tuba actually. He just I can talk for hours about Serene Tuba. Maybe one day I'll have to just recite a whole qasida. But I want to show you how his philosophy is really, really timing. It's really, really like kind of perfect timing for those who are like not wanting to engage with this crazy Western crap that's going on in the dating world or something like that, or like just, of course, like myself, it's just being patient and holding out to leave the West, making their preparations to leave the West. So I want to go over a couple of videos that came to mind. Let me share the screen. um what screen should I share? I'll share this one, no problem. Okay. So, shout outs to the Crimson Cure. I'm gonna pull up a video, and this is crazy, bro. Like, I've never seen this in my life. Like, I'm like, huh? Are you serious? Like, I really was like at a shock. I'm like, huh? Like, is this really happening? But let's go ahead and look.
This is SEMrush, the digital marketing platform that helps your business grow on all channels. And it's free for
Heal. Guys, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So I got this clip, and this is really going towards the desperation of these women. It's not, they want it to be cute, and it's not cute, but I'm gonna
But guess what? There are women who support the behavior. That is the problem. That is the issue. There are women who support this kind of behavior. There are women who encourage this kind of behavior. There are women who say, oh, like, if you don't come out with this, if you don't come out with run it out of your pockets, you're dusty, you're broken, this, that, and the other. And this goes back to the point of Serene Tubo, who said that they will do anything to quench their hunger or their thirst. Okay, even if it's immoral. Okay, it goes right back to his point. Okay, he was already putting us on game long ago, before we thought we before we even thought that we were going to be in this situation. He was already putting us on game. Okay, but let's look at this.
let you see this clip just in case you don't understand it. It's starting off saying you spot your target who's going to pay your bill, but a waiter is having a long conversation with him. That's what that little caption says.
So it's like I'm beginning to think that like feminism is a oxymoron at this point, because if you are supposed to be like a boss babe and things like that, but you're actually literally going to a restaurant that, eh, you're going to a restaurant, and I don't know if you're planning on dining and dashing if you don't get if you don't get the payment for the food, but you're literally looking for someone to cover your meal. This is disgusting. This is sad, but this is actually what's happening. This is crazy. But let's continue.
So here we go.
You spot your target who's going to pay your bill, but a waiter is having a long ass conversation with him.
So one thing too that's crazy, that blows my mind about this, this is what really blows my mind, is that okay, if you're hurting, if you're like hurting, right? Why not just go up to him and ask him, "Yo, can you pay my bill?" Like just do that. Just go ahead and just ask. You know, instead, of course, she's not gonna ask. She's just gonna wait and wait around and try to like send these like goofy old choosing signals to to try to get him to pay the bill. And that's one of the things about Moritism, is that it's based on hard work. Okay, it's based on hard work. And the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Surin Tuba talked against laziness. May Allah protect us from that. Even in the month of Ramadan, may Allah protect us from laziness. May Allah protect us from fatigue and all of those, the like thereof. But here you have this woman, right? Actually waiting for someone to pay her for her food that she doesn't even know. Let's continue on.
You spot your target who.
Now, you see her. She's apparently at a restaurant. Judging by the music, it might be an Italian restaurant.
Mexican restaurant for sure. Mexican.
She's sitting there. I need y'all to really absorb this, what you're looking at. She's sitting there in this restaurant. She's alone, right? This is not even an old woman. And this is what I'm saying. This is not the old.
So and that's the thing. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. What actually goes through your mind that you think that you're going to just show up somewhere and someone's going to cover the bill? Like really, what is really going on in your mind? I would never do anything like that, okay? I would not. Hell, most of the time I don't even show up to people who invite me places. Okay, let alone showing up to a place where all of a sudden, oh, they're just going to pay the bill for me. This is crazy. Okay? She's literally showed up to a restaurant waiting for someone to pay the bill, and guess what? People are defending it. People are saying, "Yeah, that's right. Manifest." That's what they're like. They're like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be manifested." You know? That's the talking point. It's unbelievable, bro. It really is. I don't, to be honest, I don't even know what else to say, but we'll listen to her commentary, Crimson Cure's commentary. Sorry, I'm just kind of like multitasking. I got a lot of stuff going on my computer. But let's listen some more and actually see what's going on here.
Big back women. These aren't the old, fat, ugly women. These aren't the women that have wasted away all their years and now they're old and decrepit and now they want somebody to come through and do. See, that's not the case. This woman is obviously in her 20s, right? She looks like she's in her 20s. They say she's got a TikTok where she uh almost like a sprinkle type of thing. Like she tries to
Oh, okay. So it's like it basically she has a TikTok on how to mooch. Basically. Now, granted, I've never seen her TikTok. Okay, but it's crazy that it's come to this. Now, you look at the times that Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba was living in, that we were talking about, and you look at these times. So you gotta understand that, hey, if granted, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, he still got pious women. He still got high caliber women back then. I mean, he still got hella virgin women back then. Now, I'm not going to talk about his kids. Granted, he had quite a few kids, but the fact of the matter is they were still virtuous women. Back then virtuous women were very, very much appreciated, so much that he even wrote a poem about Mary, the mother of Jesus, upon whom be peace. Okay, so if now, granted, he still found those women back then. We fast forward today and you have to ask yourself, are you really going to find those women in the West? Are you really going to find them when you see things like that, when you see things like this? But let's go ahead and continue.
tell women how to get free stuff from men and how to get men to pay things and blah, 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 blah. Okay. She is sitting alone in this restaurant. She's got a nice, looks like her little top is nice, her little clothes is nice. But baby, them knotless braids, baby. They how old is them braids? How many weeks old are these braids? And you got the audacity to be trying to pick out somebody talking about he a target. Now this might be
Now that is pretty bad too. Like, the crazy thing about this whole video, yeah, she didn't even say a potential like suitor. She said a target. Okay, like a sucker. She didn't even say. That's what's messed up about it. That's what's the most messed up thing about this whole situation. It's not even about, oh, that guy is cute. Maybe I may want to, entertain him. No. Let me see what sucker I can pick out. Ah, I got one.
now her target may be a Caucasian male. This one looks like a swirler. Okay. This one is giving me divested energy. So this one thinks she too good for black men. She thinks black men are broke. And so she's not going to any places where quote unquote dusties would be because they are too broke to pay for her meal anyways. So this one is probably trying to snap up a Caucasian man, which for whatever reason, the type of white men these divestors be liking them old box braids and hard wigs. I don't understand that, but okay. Then she study, looking back and I mean, what are you doing? You look weird. You're weird. The waiter comes to ask you, are you all right? Because you look like you're going to slide up out the booth any moment now and not pay this tab.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't let it fool you, because even that one woman, what's her name? Ebony K. Williams, she even got in trouble for shoplifting. I think she shoplifted some shoes or something like that. So you really can't put these things past these women. You can't really put it past them to do certain things like that. Like yeah, it's that's just the thing. You can't really put it like past them to do crazy things like that, right? So that's what's crazy. That's the crazy thing about the whole situation. Like she may try to dine and dash. I don't know how it ended, but yeah. But let's continue.
That's why the waiter came to check on you. You a whole nigress somewhere where these white folks is at, looking around and looking suspicious, like you ain't got the money to pay for this meal you just ordered. This meal that you done ordered all the courses. It done came to about $120 to $130 all by yourself. You got a big thing of wine, you lush. You done.
Now, one thing I want to say about Ramadan too, bro, is that the one thing that I try to avoid doing, because I know it's hard to be like him, but I want to try my best to, although it's impossible, is I do want to be able to eat less but still be strong as hell. I want to be able to have that kind of like thing where I'm not eating as much, and during breaking my fast, I'm not even eating that much. You know what I mean? And I'm just like keeping a part of my stomach for drink, a part of my stomach for food, keeping the rest of it for everything else. But this woman right here, bro, like it looked like she ordered a damn buffet. It's astaghfirullah, excuse my language, but yeah, it looked like she ordered a buffet. I mean, the wine. It looked like she ordered some kind of like pasta or something like that, some kind of carne asada. It looked like she got the whole thing, and she's looking around and stuff like that. Like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do if bro doesn't pay for it? it she hasn't even. The crazy thing is, she hasn't even initiated contact with the dude and about even paying for the meal. You know, that's the crazy thing about this. That's the sad thing. But let's continue.
Sat there and ate all the pasta you can get. All this other type of stuff, right? You know what she doing. Now, this is the type that'll post on Instagram and have people thinking that she's living this luxurious, lavish, soft life. But the reality, she messed around and posted the reality of this dry begging that she's doing. She's looking around.
And that's the thing. Like, listen, and here's the thing. Because a lot of these modern women don't know how to cook, they have to dry beg. Because look, you can literally get a thing of meat, some potatoes, some spices, some rice, and you can put together a meal, no problem. They don't even know how to do that though. That's the thing. You can literally make a stew, right? And then put the stew on rice or something like that. They don't know how to do that though. So that's why it is dry begging. That's why it is send me money for lunch. That's why it is that, because they don't know how. That's the whole thing. But let's continue.
Dry begging. She's picked out a so-called target, but basically this is a more sophisticated way to shake a cup on the corner. You understand? These women are reduced down to shaking the cup for a man to drop any amount of attention in it. Any little attention he can spare, any couple of dollars he can spare, she rattling the cup, hoping that he can drop a couple dollars, some attention, and possibly some sex in this cup. These women are panhandling for men at this point. I need y'all to understand that. This is not a soft life. This is not a luxurious thing that she's doing. This is that they want this to be the standard. This is lower even than hoeing and prostitution, because at least a prostitute come to you and say, I do want your couple of dollars, but I'm gonna give you this for the couple of dollars. This one just want a bed. This one don't want to be in the bed or nothing like that. She don't want you to ask her for no sex or ask her, what that throat do in the back of this restaurant. Now she'll call herself offended. Now she'll go ahead and do it, but she'll call herself offended because why did you think that she was a lady? So why did you think she was supposed to do that? Because you sitting around looking and gawking and dry begging, looking like you don't belong in this restaurant, looking like you ain't got the funds, the proof of funds to cover this bill you done sat here and racked up. Now, this is the type of chick who post a picture on Instagram of the meal talking about how, this is what they be talking about. I splurge for myself on lunch. Lonely. I just bet you do, because nobody else taking you out for dinner. You need to take yourself out. You making all this big money, as y'all say. Y'all claim, swear to God, y'all are doing so well.
Now, one thing I want to say too, the women in Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's life, okay, they would serve you couscous, okay? They would serve you food. All right. That's the thing. If you were a student of his, best believe you were going to eat good. It's the same thing with me with my teacher when I was studying. Every time I studied, yeah, his wife would be preparing food for us. The women of the house would be preparing food for us. As a matter of fact, I had to say, no, 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 I don't want to eat no more. Okay. I had to say that. I had to be like, yo, bro, you guys are going to try to kill me. Stuff in my stomach. So when you have this, right, you have to wonder, is this, when it comes to all of these Western women, all of them, regardless of ethnicity, this is what's out there for you. Do you really want this? Do you really, is this really going to help you? Like, especially me, because I will say it, I am a Muri, okay? I do follow the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba path, okay? I will profess this on here, not to show off. I do try my best to follow the path of Serene Tuba. But do you think this is going to be like really conducive for you if you're seeking something, if you're seeking peace, if you're seeking tranquility, if you're seeking progression? Because the way I look at it is like, okay, you can level up, but I don't think it'll be ever enough for them. I really don't, especially when you see this kind of thing going on. But let's continue.
Okay, fine. You've become the men that you wanted to be, so you take yourself out like a man would. But they've just gotten down to just being there now. I find it interesting that the karma of them calling black men dusty and bums and never having any money.
So you see, so let me just sum it up in the word of words. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, back in his time, he said that people would do anything for hunger and thirst. And lo and behold, we fast forward and hey, they're doing anything for hunger and thirst. Let's move to the next clip. Shout out to Destro's shout out to Destro Reborn. He always be coming with the stuff, man. Shout out to him.
If nobody wants to date single moms, how we all got boyfriends?
All right. So the reason why you have boyfriends, and this comes to the thing that Serene Tuba taught, that I follow, that I hear too. The thing that Serene Tuba taught, may Allah be pleased with him, is that Serene Tuba, he said, Serene Tuba said that, let me see. Let me find it. Okay. So Surin Tuba, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, he said the first duty of the disciple is to seek his provisions in Tawheed. And that's just basically the oneness of God. Before dealing with, it starts with an S and it ends with an E. And I'm just gonna spell it out and say Solitude. Solitude. And isolating himself through dhikr and spiritual struggle. So the reason why these single men or these single moms have boyfriends, so to say, is because unfortunately there are men who are not strong enough to be in a state of solitude, to be in a state of, you know, isolation. They're just not strong enough to do it. So what do? They do this. Well, let's continue.
Somebody is lying on this app because I will have my daughter in my arms and I will have somebody come ask me out.
Not too smart.
Ah, yes. Such a perfect vessel for recreational usage. Her naiveness is all so alluring. The gods gave her the ability to bear a child, but not the ability to construct a cognitive thought. Another misguided single mother, prime for ravaging. Oh, sorry, I've said too much. Ill prepared she is to distinguish the differences between the title of bust down and girlfriend with potential. You see, the better sisterhood betrays her because they will only rebel at her foolish epiphany. The better sister.
Now, I forgot to say something, Um, there are two extremes. There's the simp extreme where the simp just wants like any kind of companionship. So, they go for single moms. But then there is the select male extreme where it's easy pickings. Like it's literally like picking an apple off of a tree, or like picking just a fruit off of a tree, because they're available. They make themselves available to you just due to the simple fact that you look the part. You know what I mean? These single moms. But let's continue on.
Sisterhood will encourage any rhetoric that excites the mob, even if it's counterproductive. So although they despise the Blue Book ascendants, they only feed us healthy sacrifices to fill our weekly urges. Ravaging, like greed, is good, as long as we all pledge an oath not to leave any Aquaman in her fallopian tubes. For this defeats the premise of recreational, don't you agree? Let's hear her out.
If nobody wants to date single moms, how we all got boyfriends? Somebody is lying on this app because I will have my daughter in my arms and I will have somebody come ask me out.
The same men that ice cold pimp on Mexican mafia streets would be startled by the eyes of your daughter. Seems like a small hurdle to jump for these so-called thirsty dusties.
For these dusties, okay?
You see, their own logic doesn't stand the most diluted litmus test. No one ever sat her down and told her that men look for different women to fit different roles.
Yeah, and that's true. Now, in the sense of polygamy, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, yeah, I think he did practice polygamy. And I think the women did fill different roles, but they were virtuous women. So, if one woman needed to teach in a school, that woman was going to teach in the school. If one woman was going to teach his sons, that woman was just going to teach his sons. So, like, they did serve a purpose. You know what I mean? Now, the purpose in this day and age is not as virtuous. In fact, is very far from. But yeah, these women do serve a purpose. If you're African, a Western woman is a means of a green card and recreational use at the same time, while you're just draining her dry to finance your family back home, or to even marry back home. So yes, that is very true.
Some like her are only worthy of a temporary testicular release. On the other hand, some women that check all the boxes and are worthy of the status of virtuous deserve all of the flowers. But we all know that in this Western society, these women are true unicorns.
And I just be like, oh, well, like, I got a kid, right? And then I'm like, all right, cool. What kind of snacks you like?
In other words, what kind of treats will muffle your unclaimed child so I can penetrate those yams in peace? How does one bribe the security guards that patrol your tenderloin, madame? I mean, think about it. The man's response to you having a kid was, all right, cool. That is definitely not an indication or acknowledgement that he is prepared or ready to adopt your unclaimed offspring. Such a cute deer in my Hummer's headlights.
So somebody
Hey, I'm Kayla, and I'm one of the AI voices from Revoicer. I can be sad, and you'll think that I'm
is lying. I need all the men that say that men don't want single moms to come forward. Because y'all lying.
Yes, you found us out. We are Lion Queen. We get up every day and fantasize about raising another man's child. Ah, pathetic. Gather round, my comrades, and gaze upon
Now I want to say something about that. Back in the Prophet alayhi salatu salam's time, you did have Muslims who did marry single moms. But the difference is they were virtuous. Difference is most of their husbands or their former husbands died in battle. Okay. They didn't necessarily, lose their lives. Um they didn't lose their lives in just by natural causes. Most of the time they lost it through battle. So what happened? These these men, they just took them on. They said, okay, no problem, I'll take them on. Okay. But the thing is, these women were obedient and they were very you know they just did what they needed to do. That's what happened. So this is the thing. This is the difference. And they were appreciative. They were very appreciative that the fact that, oh, here comes this man. He doesn't have to he doesn't really have to take me on, but he's taking me on. There was some appreciation shown for it. But now let's continue and listen to her. See what she has to say. Let's see. Just give me a minute. Give me 1 minute. Let's listen to what she has to say.
another victim of delusion. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our beloved comrades that hit the super chat button in support of free tenderloin distribution. Your sacrifice is truly appreciated. Now, before we go any further into this rabbit hole, Lord Destro requires you to push that like button and smash that bell in the name of Cobra, and leave a comment below to appease the nosy algo. Because as we all know, Big Brother is always watching. Now let the Jubakari commence.
Our future rests with Destro now.
I might be going to beat around the bush right now. Are y'all going on just drinks dates with men? Serious answers only. Please be so for real right now. This is no time to joke and play. Please be serious right now with me, please.
Here, we have a woman suffering from terminal sexual marketplace value dementia syndrome, one of the worst forms of delusion known. Similar to late stages of Alzheimer's, these women forget how mid they are. Women that are 3s, 4s, and 5s start to believe that they are 8, 9s, and 10s. This disease is rarely linked to genetics like Alzheimer's, but usually becomes present when rogue simps match with the victim on dating apps and treat her like she's a 10. Now I'm sure you see no harm in such a gesture, like feeding the bears at a national park. But this behavior actually feeds their ego to a point that their physical features cannot carry, giving this minion with a wig the belief that she is worth more than a chief beef eater shot of vodka.
Yeah, like you look at her, right? And no disrespect. Now, if it was, if it was a member of the Mbake family, yeah, you roll out the red carpet for them, to get some food and things like that. uh, or if it was just any pious woman, not just Mbake family. But y- you know, when you look at this woman just demanding things, it's just like, what? You feel like you're owed something, and it blows my mind, really. You actually feel like you're owed something given to you. Where did you get this notion from? That's what I'm trying to wonder.
At a low-lit bar.
Why would I, as a young, hot, sexy person, get up, put on
Now that's another thing that Sheikh Hassan Ubamba, rahmatullah alayhi, you know, avoided. Sheikh Hassan Ubamba, he avoided that. He avoided conceit. As a matter of fact, hold on. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'm looking this book. Okay, Sheikh Hassan Ubamba. Now this is heavy. What he said. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this. Okay, this is heavy, and then I'm gonna go back to the video. Sheikh Hamid Bamba said, um, "And Allah Majestic will make him accountable on the day of retribution and great embarrassment." And so it says his education in action and initiatives such as patience, determination, meticulousness, diligence, and perseverance in speech and action, precision in action, and avoidance of blameworthy action of words. So that's the thing. These women have no problem saying, "Oh, I'm a goddess. Oh, I look good. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that." Okay? Not understanding that these are bad traits to have. Okay? Uh, Sheikh Ahmed Ubamba said, "Good manners are hidden by ignorance and bad lineages." So when you look at it, hate to say it, where do they come from? Single moms, right? He said he has granted the people of knowledge respectability so that they prevail in the right path and deserve rewards. Okay. He said, "Be aware that Allah surrounds us with his love in the two dwellings and illuminates us. Be aware that the highest virtue of the young servant lies in politeness, wherever he may be. For this is how the servant arrives in the gardens of the merciful. He who wants to achieve that um, without politeness, his intention is not decent." I hate to say it, but a lot of these women, bro, have a resting bad attitude face. I'm not going to say the other things, but they just look like bro, no, stay away from me, basically. Okay? That's what it seems like. He said that good manners, okay? This is what Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said that it represents one third of the religion and that its merits is obvious. For our daimony, there are two categories: external conveniences towards fellow humans and inner conveniences towards the Lord of mankind. And surely the outside reflects the inside. And what does that mean? I'm going to break it down to you, okay? What that basically means is that how you treat people is basically how you feel about God. That's what that means. So if you're treating people like crap and you're just kind of having this bad attitude and you're kind of, men ain't ish, like, even, I deleted Clubhouse for Ramadan. I was like, heck no, I'm not being on that app during Ramadan. I said, no way, Jose. But the amount of, like, for example, the amount of Somali women who would just say some atrocious, gross things about, for example, us West African and just about men in general. You're like, oh my God, what is going on here? Okay. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, and I hate to keep on referring back to Ahmadou Bamba, but everybody needs a guide. And my guys, besides the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, and my revolutionary figures that I like, I mean, after the Prophet come the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, and then comes the righteous people, and Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba would be considered one of the righteous people. Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said, maintain decency in public and private, and in private, towards the Most High, and be kind to all, to and be kind to His creatures. Um, so he emphasized these kind of things, these kind of courtesies, and it wasn't just with the men he emphasized the courtesies with; it was with the women too. Okay, hold on just a minute. Okay, so Sheikh Mahmoud Bamba said, um that there has to be, as I said in the beginning of this, there has to be like a knowledge, and then there has to be an action. So, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, "Be aware that science and action are the two means to achieve happiness. He who has knowledge and does not put it into practice is like a donkey carrying a load. Be aware that knowledge and actions are similar to conveniences which make you acquire perfection. Knowledge and action are two jewels that pull towards success in both worlds. The noblest of principles is knowledge, as a sublime tradition has declared." And he also defines Sufism as follows: a Sufi is a scholar who puts his knowledge into practice and does not tire of doing so. He is one who is pure from all defilements and whose heart is fully engaged in meditation. A Sufi is devoted to Allah and cut off from the world, and for him, coins are worth no more than a cloud of earth. Those who wish to reach the highest spiritual heights must invariably make efforts and persevere. As the poet put it so well, high spiritual degrees are acquired through effort and toil. He who seeks the summit must stay up at night. Do you long for the high places while you lie sleeping at night, and you yearn for which you cannot be attained without effort? So, with this being said, that, and I'm gonna quote one more thing. I'm gonna, man, he just drops too many jewels, bro. I can keep on going on and on. But Sheikh Ahmed Zarruq said, "Some have said that knowledge without action is a means without an end, and that action without knowledge is a crime." His moral and social education, Sheikh Ahmed Ubamba educated people to be good, friendly, fraternal, merciful, uh, generous, kind, gentle, loving, united, and altruistic for the sake of Allah in order to earn His pleasure and to serve Him properly. He said, "Let the elders have mercy on all the young. Let the young have respect for all the elders. Wish all creatures well from our Lord Allah the Wonderful. For He, glory be Him, wishes no evil for His creatures. Therefore, perform this task." He says, "Loving the prophets is an act of faith. Hating them is an act of disbelief in Him and is a cause of deprivation. May Allah's prayer and peace be upon them. To the extent the Lord, creatures, peace be upon Him, loves them. Loving all saints is a duty. He who is hostile to the best will be shrouded in darkness. May Allah be pleased with the saints. They are the mercy of all times. Loving scholars is a duty, as long as they do not engage in evil deeds and are not discourteous." Now, I want to stop there because you have to understand something. Now, he said loving scholars is a duty, provided that basically they're not charlatans. So, when it comes to even the modern woman, you know, loving them has gone out the window for the simple fact of they're engaged in discourteous things, right? That's the thing. That's the whole thing. Now, we have to be kind, we have to be respectful, we have to be courteous, okay? But we don't have to be that if we're disassociating ourselves with them, okay? That's the thing. So I'm going to stop right there on that one. But I'm gonna go back to the video. And you heard what she said though. Let me rewind what she said. Hold on, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's listen.
Then a chief beef eater shot of vodka at a low-lit bar.
Why would I, as a young, hot, sexy person, get up, put on makeup, look cute, get in an Uber just to meet a man for drinks only?
Unfortunately, we can see that this victim has no grip on reality. She categorizes herself as young, hot, and sexy, collegiate with the Valkyrie women we see on rare instances. The lace front minion believes that looking cute is an action or exercise, like flexing a muscle. She doesn't understand that cute women are always cute, not for a night or a few hours. Yes, I know it's hard to watch her ramble in this pit of delusion, but we must study our patient, for this is the greater good.
So does that mean if I want a little girl snack, he's not even going to provide a girl snack?
Like a chipmunk, she looks like she stores quote-unquote girl snacks in her cheeks. She should be more
Hello, everybody. Anton Crayley here from Dropship Lifestyle. And in this quick video, I want to
worried about securing a possible man or husband than securing some avocado toast.
Why would y'all leave your houses? What's going on? It almost makes me want to cry. We have devolved so much from we was kings.
Yes, king of roaches, I agree.
So that's crazy that she didn't even say queens. She said like she basically said now I don't know if she meant the men being kings or if she meant the women being kings. I really don't know. You know, maybe I'm a little slow in regards to that.
You see, we must bear some of the blame because some of our parched or very thirsty brothers are willing to give up their left kidney for a whiff of some minion pum-pum. Even though there are better options available, especially abroad, they choose to pick up scraps of avocado toast and minion chipmunk excrement, which only continues the cycle of dementia.
I'm gonna need you girls with kids to realize that you ain't got that many options. You lucky we even here. I mean, options is low. You better get what you can get.
Not even realizing it, he gave the game away. You notice how many times he said lucky? That's what it is. They want you to feel lucky. They want you to feel lucky that somebody like them would want you and you have kids. Lucky that somebody like them would want you and you have a high body count. Lucky that somebody like them would want you.
So you heard her, right? You heard what she said, right? I don't want you to focus on what she said about the kids. I want you to focus on what she said about the high body count. Like, so she basically said that if a man should not consider, or she, basically, she's saying that it's it's basically required of a man to take on a woman with a high body count, that this is the norm, that she shouldn't feel lucky that if a man says, you know, hey, maybe you were in corn before, or maybe you had an OF, but hey, you know, I'm gonna still take you serious. She feels that that should be just the norm. That's in essence what she's saying. It's how far gone this society is. Okay. Fortunately, it's going to get worse. But let's listen to what she has to say.
You and your plus size. They always want you to feel lucky. Why they want you to feel lucky? Because again, he gave the game away. You want us to be faithful? They want you to feel lucky to be with them so they could dog you out. They really want you to settle for them, but they're trying to convince you that they're settling for you. Just because she has kids doesn't mean she doesn't have standards. They always jump on the internet and try to make it seem like their preferences are every man's preferences.
Nah, he speaks for about 99% of us. The only reply she has is the
Yeah, you know, of course, there is that select few like the Boyce Watkins and those kind of groups, you know, which is a minority of men who will, you know, feel bad for these these like reform streetwalkers. You have the Russell Wilsons, of course. You have those, and yeah, so there is that small minority, but again, it's a minority. It's not like a majority. Yeah.
Not all men defense, which is what every woman uses when they can't disprove a point. Look at how enraged she is because a regular guy is explaining his preferences, and she is not on that list. Another victim of delusion. But wait a minute, you didn't smash the bell and press.
Okay, so I want to say that Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's teachings are very timing to the person who really takes a hold of them. That's indeed what Ramadan is for, is to, reflect. Ramadan is not just about withholding the eating or the drinking during the day, or the cordial relations with your wife. It's about it's also about those other things, man. Getting right, renewing your covenant, you know. Now um let's look at some other stuff. Okay, let me scroll down real quick. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So Amanda Seals, I thought Amanda Seals, she's a comedian. Um, I was under the impression she had a boyfriend or something like that, or a situation going on, but I guess she does not have that going on. I guess it's kind of maybe another Lolo Jones situation without the virginity still. Hold on, let me see real quick. Let me see something real quick. Let me see. Okay, so Amanda Seals, she's 42 years old. Okay, let's see. Shout outs to Easy. I know Easy pushes the pro blackness and rebuilding black family, but I think if you read the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, he would know that this is not possible to do in the West. He knows that it's darn near impossible to do in the West if he reads the teachings of Surin Tuba. You know. But let's continue on.
Create content for people and search engines with SEMrush SEO Writing Assistant. Get your copy SEO ready.
I already got blacklisted this year from certain venues because I stood up for myself professionally when I was being what's the word?
So the thing is like when I look at it, I really haven't seen that many women comedians that are funny. Most of the comedians that I know that are funny are like men. I'm gonna be honest. Uh, the When you listen to women comedians, you already understand that there's some mixture of feminism, and there always is going to be some kind of like I guess you can say some kind of reference to men and things like that. um yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest. Most most for example, one of my favorite one of my favorite shows was 2.5 Men, and guess what? Who were the main protagonists of that show? Charlie Sheen and that other guy, his brother. I forgot his name, but that show used to like crack me up. Another show that used to crack me up was I had to watch reruns of it, but Martin. Besides the cross dressing, I don't really get down with that. He needed to stop with that. But there really wasn't that many women who are funny, like generally funny in movies and or anything. Like it's just it I don't know. It's just even sometimes even even like rappers, for example, sometimes rappers would just be naturally funny. Like, yo, this dude's funny as heck out of nowhere. But that's beside the point. It, Death by Zen, you can cut it out. Okay, you can really cut it out. I don't know if you're trying to cuck for women or something like that, but yeah, you can stop it, bro. I don't know if you are a woman, but I'm going to have my opinion. You can stop cucking for women.
Scammed.
I remember one episode of Kevin Samuels where his sister was saying she had a problem when men tell her to smile. When black men tell her to smile, she says she had a problem with it. I remember that episode.
If somebody told you to smile and you said you were what, offended?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Because it's like, why is it such a demand for women to, well, especially for black women to just always look a certain way? Like, why can't we just naturally be whatever we feel?
You got so I want to get this clear. Someone just says, "Hey, smile," and it's offensive to you?
I mean, for the most part, it just comes across like demanding. And I'm not saying
demanding.
Yes.
She missed entirely the point of what Kevin Samuels was trying to say. She missed it. And this is what goes on in our community. And why
So it's not my community, my community is a completely different one. But yeah, you can call me sad, you can call me whatever. I don't even know who you are, but you can call me whatever you want. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. But anyhow, we have to ask this question. What happens if you smile at them? That then becomes the question. Like, what happens if you smile? What happens if you decide to like throw a smile? Right? Then is it gonna be like, ew, what is this guy smiling at? Or something like that. So when you don't, I guess you can say look pleasant, then it's gonna be like, okay, why bother? You understand?
we're talking about this today? Because we are talking about Amanda Seals. Because everything Kevin Samuels stood for in his shows, she was the opposite, and she did not like that. Hello, welcome to Reactions and Reviews. I'm your humble host, Eze. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show.
I'm not one of his followers, but when I do talk to people that have been in tune with his messaging, it does seem from the outside he was trying to, I guess, what's the word? Balance out the criticism, kind of even the playing field.
Is that what he was trying to do?
In hindsight of men who, let me put this right. Black men, we are raised in a matriarch society.
You're not raised in a matriarchal society, though. That's false.
I mean,
just because you're raised by a woman doesn't mean you're raised in a matriarchal society.
In our community, I was raised by a single mother.
In a patriarchal society.
Okay. But in my experience, this is my experience.
No, but I'm telling you, like, your experience doesn't change the society that we're in.
Okay.
Even though you were raised by a woman, she's raising you within a patriarchal framework.
Nonsense. Nonsense. Okay, let's go by her own logic. Yes, okay, it's man-driven world, man rule the world, man controls. I get it. However, look at the laws. Okay? Look at the laws. Look at every law in America. Most of the laws in America are to protect women. So she just contradicted what she is saying. You see, when there's a divorce, who gets the house? Who gets the kid? Who gets the alimony? Who gets everything? The woman. And the man is tossed aside to start all over. When the same crime is committed by a man and a woman, who does the most time? A man. And the woman gets a slap on the wrist. When it comes to job, when it comes to work, when it comes to business.
So, you know, again, you know, showing argumentativeness, you know, being argumentative, eh, just, you know, just not even listening, you know, um, just like the death by Zen, you know, if you don't like what you're hearing, adios, okay? It's not that hard. You can leave. Like, you really can. Nobody is keeping you here. Okay? If you don't like what you hear, then yeah, you can leave. Because like all I gotta say is like if you don't like what you hear, you definitely won't like Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. You definitely won't like Serene Tuba. So I mean, if you don't like Serene Tuba, then leave. You know, perhaps Serene Tuba is not for you. Like that's the thing. Like maybe Serene Tuba is not for you. Because like everything that I'm showing is lining up with what he said. That's the thing. Everything that I show is lining up with what he said. What Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba said. Everything that I'm showing is parallel to what he said. So I mean, if you know if you got a problem with the content, then you know you have a problem with Serene Tuba. And you know those who have problem with Serene Tuba, you know, good riddance to them.
Businesses. All a woman has to say, he looked at me funny, he touched me, or he did this, just by her words, alone.
And that's a fact. Like, I mean, come on, bro. If, especially in the workplace, you know, Barker is Serene Tuba that I'm working remote, but even in the workplace, yo, it only takes like one hug. It only takes one, you know, bump. Oh, he touched me. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Then what? Then it's like, oh, suspension. Even worse, maybe losing your job. It's true. Serene Tuba, Serene Tuba, you can look up Serene Tuba. It's not hard to spell.
A man's life is ruined. He will lose everything that took him 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to build. Just because a woman said, he gave me a compliment and they made me uncomfortable. Just by saying that. So what she just said is straight bullshit. Straight bullshit.
I think with a guy like Kevin Samuels, they gravitated towards him because he was now holding women accountable more than we've ever really seen it. It wasn't delivered the best, but I can
That is
from the outside.
completely wrong. That is, I'm gonna have to go completely against that.
Okay. So why do you think people were listening?
I think people were listening to him because we're in a up society and he was confirmation bias for their uppery. That's why.
She just invented a word. She just invented something called like they're F, like she said something about F uppery or something. So she just like invented a word because of the simple fact that, she just couldn't take that A. Maybe what he said is you know, it, maybe it hit home. Maybe part of it hit home. Okay? So yeah.
People listened to Kevin Samuels because Kevin Samuels was telling the truth. Kevin Samuels was not against women. Kevin Samuels did not hate women. Kevin Samuels did not have this elaborate plan to destroy women. No, but that's what had women like her. That's how they took it. If you made it this far, hit that like button and leave a comment to trigger YouTube's algorithm. I'm a new channel and I'm trying to grow. So hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to let you know every time I upload a new video. Majority of Kevin Samuels followers and callers were women. Women. Now, going back to what she said, Kevin Samuels was trying to get black women to marry, to stop making babies outside marriage, not to just divorce your husband over minor things. That's what Kevin Samuels was trying to do. Kevin Samuels was about the black nuclear family. Now, going past Kevin Samuels, everywhere this lady went, she was a problem. From the show The View to the show Insecure, everywhere she went, she was a problem. To the point there was a party at the Emmys that she attended. They would not even let her in. As a matter of fact, let's let her tell the story in her own mouth.
So in case y'all even care, this is what happened. I got to the...
So, again, it, again, like, again, death by Zen. If you want to leave, you can leave. Nobody is asking you to stay. You can leave. For real. Hey, if you want to engage in this debauchery, this Western way, that's fine. No, hey, no harm, no foul. It's not a problem. Do you, bro? Go ahead. No problem. But I'm not going to engage in it. I haven't been engaging in it. Serene Tuba wouldn't want me to engage in it. I take my teachings from Serene Tuba. I don't take my teachings from any Western scholar. All my teachings come from him. So if you want to engage, that's fine. It's not a problem.
Black Hollywood Emmy party last night with my homeboy Kendrick and my homegirl Kiki, and we were being escorted.
So I wonder if her guests, that's what I wonder. I wonder if her guests were even celebrities. That's the real thing. Or was she just trying to get people in on the like, hey, I'm just showing up. Like, I'm just gonna let my guests show up even if they aren't celebrities.
We're being entered into the party when the woman at the door, a white woman named Kiara, was like, stop, she can't go in. No, she's not on the list. She can't go in. Now, Kiki was walking in and they weren't stopping Kiki. And Kendrick was walking in, but I was targeted out and was like, she can't go in. She's not on the list. So Kendrick was like, I don't even understand what? And the security guards were like, yeah, I don't know. It's been like this all night, just politics. I don't know. So I'm standing there just like, so I stand there waiting, and now I'm getting perturbed because there's just no reason. Like, the shit is not popping. Like, it's not like there's a crazy line outside. Like, there's people spilling out from the inside. Like, there's just no reason for like me to be standing out here and being like told like, no, you can't go in.
You see how she flipped it and tried to make it seem like if they just single me out, everybody else went in, they just single me out. No, they didn't want you there because they don't like you. They don't like you. Right now, me, Eze, if everywhere I go, nobody likes me. If everywhere I go, I'm always in an argument, in a fight, and it's chaos. Everywhere I go, I live chaos. But here I am pointing the finger at everybody else. No, I need to look in the mirror and ask myself a question. Why is it everywhere I go, there's chaos? The problem is me. That's what she's not doing. She is not taking accountability for her actions. She's too busy pointing the finger at everybody else instead of looking at herself in the mirror and ask herself a question. Damn, Amanda, why is it that nobody likes you? Nobody likes you. Even to the point to a guy she was dating left her for a white woman.
And so that's another thing too. And I'm not saying that it's a I'm not saying it's something that is funny, uh but but the thing is that a it be like that sometimes. Some people be like, yo, uh enough's enough. I'm not even dealing with them anymore. Like they just completely they completely say, you know what? Let me just completely break off. Uh and yeah, man, it's sad to say it, bro, but yeah, it beats like that, man. So yeah, she was dating someone. That's what I thought. But let's hear it.
I remember one time, this dude called himself trying to date me or whatever. I was looking for some like old pictures the other day, and I had seen one of his texts where he had canceled on me because he said that he was hungover and was just gonna stay home and watch movies with his mom. There were so many things wrong with that. And for the record, no, I did not ever see or try to see this person again. Okay. But I did run into them at the Grove, and they were with a white girl. That's probably who he was lying to me about.
It's always everybody else's fault. Even on Twitter, when one of her co-stars, Serena's J. Jackson, called her out. Let's read it. You can't be a disrespectful as human being and expect people to want to hang out with you. It's quite simple. Sit it out.
No, when you look at it, most women now are disrespectful. But what does Serene Tuba say? What does Serene Tuba say? But let's look and see what Serene Tuba says. How you have to be, which they won't follow, But let's look at what Serene Tuba said about how what you have to do. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, improve your character by being courteous and kind to people, and they will like you. Speak kindly to everyone. This is the quality of the clairvoyant. Be aware that being intelligent is showing affection towards people by worthy people. Among the signs of a young man's bliss is wherever he goes is that he meets no hostility. Gorilla Biscuit. Why is it that everywhere she goes, she meets hostility? Again, yo, I mean, you don't have to agree with Serene Tuba, but I'm going to agree with Serene Tuba. Okay? I'm definitely going to agree with Serene Tuba. You don't have to. But Serene Tuba also recommended silence. So, hey, it balances out. It doesn't mean that you have to be all sociable and stuff like that. It just means that you're silent, but also you're pleasant. If someone does decide to greet you or decide to interact with you, you show them respect, you give them the right manners, you give them the pleasantries, and you just, yeah. Be courteous, and yeah, you'll be good. But Serene Tu will recommend the silence. That's what he did recommend. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, he recommended silence and solitude, but greeting people, of course, you keep the manners. You keep good manners, inshallah. You know. You have to keep good manners. Although it be hard sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Dealing with these dealing with these people, you know. Well, let's continue.
Okay? This is what this brother said about her. This is what this brother said about her. Yet, Amanda never take blame for her actions. She's pointing the fingers. And it has finally caught up to her. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, this is really sad to watch. This is sad to watch.
It's not sad for me to watch, okay? Because there's another saying in the in this path, okay? It's a Wolof saying. It's called Jeff Jill. And what Jeff Jill means, it means you reap what you sow. So without further ado, let's see what he's talking about.
So being my regular transparent self, I can feel people distancing themselves from me for my stance, professionally and personally. And I'm being very emotionally indulgent right now just because I live by myself. So these are the feelings I have, and there's no one here to share it with except for so y'all are hearing it. But I already got blacklisted this year from certain venues because I stood up for myself professionally when I was being what's the word? Scammed. I genuinely am unsure what is coming next. I think a lot of us feel that way. And then you feel that way, and then you're like, you're not being palmed. How dare you? But yeah, you're just like, am I gonna have agents? And what's the other side of this look like? It's very disconcerting. Very, very concerning. Ethically, morally, economically. We have an election. I mean, it's just a lot to process. A lot to process, I just hope y'all support my work.
With eBay Authenticity Guarantee.
So I mean, so I'm pretty sure that possibly, hopefully, she'll be making money from TikTok, so she'll still have, um, she'll still have some kind of residuals coming. But I mean, if people don't want to work with you because of certain things that you possess, then you can't really blame them for that. And that's why Serene Tuba, he always said that we have to reflect on ourselves before we look outward. So this is why there's a lack of self-awareness with a lot of modern women, and so this is why they're in the lot that they're in right now, you know. But let's continue.
T is checked by experts. Every stitch.
For you 19% of women that watch my content, that's why I have this channel, to prevent you ladies from ending up like this. What was the first thing that came out of her mouth? I'm in tears, and there's nobody here to share with. There's nobody here to talk to. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? Loneliness. That's number one. She's alone. She's lonely. She has no companion. So she is facing the world by herself. Everything she's facing it alone. No moral support, no physical support, no financial support, no mental support, no love. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why it is important for sisters not to end up alone, not to hit the wall, because she hit it hard. You ladies do not want to end up like this. And this is what Kevin Samuels was trying to preach to you sisters. Do not die alone. But it seems like it's not hitting her yet, because she's still talking about, I gotta get agent. My dear sister.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, why wouldn't she have an agent anyway? Like, why wouldn't she just have an agent already? If she's been in the industry for that long, you would think that she would already have an agent. You would think that it would already be in place for her to have an agent, right? But yeah, this is just how it goes. And after this, I'll just after this one, I think I'll end this video and I'll just highlight some of the I'll try to find I'll try to find another video highlighting the virtues of Serene Tuba.
Sister Amanda, nobody wants to work with you. Nobody wants to work with you. Not only nobody wants to work with you, it is not affecting your personal life, because no man wants to deal with you. The only thing that's left for Amanda is to go get a pookie. No man on her level will tolerate her, and we're seeing it. I take no joy in making this video. It is heartbreaking for a black woman as beautiful as she is to end up like this.
Okay, now Easy's going a little too far. Okay, he's going a little bit too far. She's okay. She's not really like she's not really like good bomb. Like, she's not really that good looking. There's better. You know what I mean? But I know he's a component of Black love. I don't, that's his thing. I can only respect it. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. So, but I respect it nonetheless. But, of course, there's better.
Sisters, wake up. Y'all need to wake up. This is your future. This is your future. If you cannot get along with a man. Now, what do you guys think?
So I want to just show the virtues of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, though. Okay. Now,
Life of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. As we all know, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba is one of the religious leaders in Senegal. He had a very interesting life and a very interesting biography. And there are a lot of lessons and a lot of teachings that we can learn from his
from his life, in regards to how he devoted his life to serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and serving the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Alayhi salatu salam.
And we know also that during his life, a part of his life corresponded to when the French people colonized Senegal. So the French people, the colonizers, were one of his enemies. They did not like Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba and what he was calling for.
So, Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, again, if Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba was alive today, many women would not like Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Many, as a matter of fact, the West in general would not like Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, because Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba would be calling to something that they don't want. Okay. So, with that being said, the French were going hard on him back in the previous time. So if Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba was alive today, you can only imagine the Afro Americans would be going at him. The Anglo Americans would be going at him. Hey, a lot of Muslims would be going at him. So this is just how amazing this man is, but let's continue on.
So they tried to silence him, but they couldn't. And the only thing they had to do was to exile him. So in 1895, they exiled him to Gabon. And while he was there, he didn't have any Senegalese people who was there with him. And in one occasion, somebody promised him that he would give him a perfume, musk perfume, a bottle of musk. So Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba loved perfume and stuff like that, and somebody promised him that he would give him a bottle of perfume. So he was waiting for that, and at the same time, that same person promised another person that he will give that person also a bottle of musk. So when that man came to Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, the other man that he promised that he will give him the bottle came with him. So they started to argue. But the sheikh was just standing there and he wasn't saying anything. And they started to argue because this guy told the sheikh that he would give him the musk, the bottle of musk. And he also told somebody else that he would give that other person that he would give him also the bottle of musk. So the guy started to argue with him because he promised him the bottle and he promised also to the sheikh. So, and the sheikh wasn't somebody who would expect from people gifts and stuff like that, because to him, the only thing he expects is the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He don't expect from human beings any type of gift or any type of reward. So he wasn't saying anything. Like he didn't mind that person giving other people the other person the bottle of musk.
So, and that's kind of like the stance I kind of take now, like with the whole like gender war, and I've been reflecting on it. It's that although I may commentate on it, and although I may be sometimes, sometimes I may go outside just to see just the daily interaction, just to see how people are, I don't say anything. I stay to myself. I just don't say anything. And that's what I find is the best formula in this regards.
But the fact that they were arguing over that bottle of musk, the sheikh thanked Allah for the fact that he did not have that that reliance to people, to the point where if somebody would break his promise, he would feel angry about it, because he feel so devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he don't expect from people nothing. And the fact, and if you expect from people, if you always expect from people, when people don't give you, you will feel some type of way about it. The fact that the sheikh didn't feel any type of way about it, he felt like he needed to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, for the fact that Allah has given him such a powerful spirituality to the point where he don't expect nothing from people. And when people break the promise, he don't feel any type of way about it. And also, when those people were arguing, they were arguing in Wolof. And the sheikh has spent in his exile many years without seeing Senegalese people and hearing Wolof. So that the fact that he heard them arguing in Wolof, and the fact that they weren't even eloquent with their Wolof, because they're Senegalese, but they're not eloquent with their Wolof. That made him miss Senegal and the people of Senegal. And that also made him miss, the Senegalese people and the Wolof people. And those two things made him write a poem. So when he said, when at that point, he said he needed to write a poem to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the fact that he have made him, he have given him the power not to rely on people, and also asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring him back to Senegal, because he started to miss Senegal. And that's why he wrote a and that poem doesn't have a name, but they usually call it Mimiya. And Mimiya means a poem that rhymes with meme, the letter meme in Arabic, meaning a poem that ends with, that rhymes with the letter meme. And in that poem, Sheikh Bamba is thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring him back to Senegal. And in that poem, he says, "Ala innani uthni ala khayri mun'imi, wa la ashtaki lil khalqi min faqdi an'ami." In the opening.
So, Sheikh Hakmun Ubamba, even, yeah, because they deported him, and he went through a lot of struggles when they deported him. For us who are immigrants, we go through a lot of struggles, but we're unlike him, most of the time we left out of necessity. You know what I mean? Because of the economic situation. But here he is, you understand, longing for home, right? While a lot of us are longing to get out, not knowing that what lies ahead is really, really all bad.
He says, and in that poem, he says, but they usually call it Mimiya. And Mimiya means a poem that rhymes with meme, the letter meme in Arabic, meaning a poem that ends with, that rhymes with the letter meme. And in that poem, Sheikh Bamba is thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring him back to Senegal. And in that poem, he says, "Ala innani uthni ala khayri mun'imi, ولا أشتكي للخلق من فقد أنعمي. In the opening, he says, behold, I'm thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is the best of those who give blessings. And I don't complain. I don't complain to the people or to any of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about anything that I might lose when it comes to, worldly things. When it comes to worldly things, anything that I might lose in this life, I don't need to complain about it. And even if I complain about it, I complain to Allah, but I don't complain to the people. And he said, فَمَنْ ظَنَّنِي فِي غُرْبَتِي ذَا تَذَلُّلِ إِلَى غَيْرِ مُعْنٍ وَاسِعٍ فَهُوَ.
So I want to like put this into how it relates to maybe what good intention people are going through in the West. You may want like a pious partner, but you know that it's almost impossible to find. You may want to vent your frustration. You may want to like talk to someone and be like, man, this is just not it. It's not working for me. I'm not really feeling this situation. You may want to have that kind of discourse with certain people. But with Serene Tuba, he took to the paper to, express his discontent. But greater than that, he put his discontent towards God. He didn't put it towards people. So with that being said, this is a lesson for us who are in this situation. We should not, as a matter of fact, we shouldn't be on podcasts. Now that I think about it, we should not be on podcasts, partaking in the debauchery or like exposing the debauchery and things like that. Like, for example, Fresh and Fit, you know, that's just one of the examples. Serene Tuba would not be on a podcast talking about these women, you know? So, in my regards, yes, I'm doing commentary and reacting to it, but in real time, seeing it for myself and stuff like that, I just stay completely quiet. I don't say anything.
And he says, whoever think that I am somebody who is miserable with disgrace in this exile, because they took him to Gabon. And he says, whoever thinks that me being in this exile is a source of misery for me, or disgrace, or humility towards anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is sufficient, the one who is boundless, فَهُوَ قَدْ عُمِي, then that person is someone who is blind, meaning that person doesn't know nothing really about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he was trying to say that just because these people, the French people, the colonizers, they captured me and they took me away from my home, somebody would think that maybe I'm in misery, maybe I'm in disgrace, maybe I'm humiliated. But no, actually, this is a source of blessing for me, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will only test those whom he loves the most. Whom he loves the most. That's why he says that whoever thinks that I'm somebody who is miserable in this exile, then that person is somebody who is blinded. And he says, له أشتكي فقري له أشتكي ضعفي وفقري وغربتي وأرجي رجوعي عاجلا خير منعمي.
So, there's some lessons to take from that. That you know, it may be it may be like tough times that we go through. The future may look bleak, but when you look at Serene Tuba, his objective was still to get home. His objective was still to make hijrah, but for the time being in the situation, he did not let it like get the best of him. He did not let exile drive him crazy. And so that's the lesson to take from that is that um even like if you're in the West or whatever the case may be, and you're not happy in the West, try to find a source of strength in being in the West through strengthening your resolve to leave the West, but at the same time, strengthening your discipline not to indulge in the West, not indulge in the dating culture, not indulge in these kind of things, which don't mean to like that won't do you any good, right?
He says, له أشتكي ضعفي وفقري وغربتي وأرجي رجوعي عاجلا خير منعمي. He says, to Allah and to Allah only I complain about my weakness. If I'm weak, I don't complain my weakness to anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So let that be a lesson to you too as well, that therapy is not needed. If you just complain to Allah, it will be okay. Even if you complain in your language of choice, it should be okay. Although he's not visible in the physical sense, um, still use him. Don't use other people.
And to Allah only I complain my loss. And to Allah only I complain the fact that they have driven me out from my home. And that's and he's saying that he only complained to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he has something that might bother him or something that might cause him to be weak or to lose something. He don't complain to people. He doesn't go towards people to complain about how much he's weak or how much he lost, the things he wanted, the things he loved. But he complains only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same way Yaqub complained only to Allah.
It's not easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not easy to do that. I mean, that I will say that it's not easy. Okay? It's definitely not easy. It's only so much we can take. It's definitely not easy to do, you know.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he lost Yusuf, when he said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Because Yaqub, when he lost Yusuf, he was always crying, always crying. He was always sad until he turned blind. And his sons told him, "You will not stop grieving about the loss of Yusuf until you become maybe dead." And he told them that, "I don't complain my loss to anyone but Allah. Everything that I've lost, the sadness that I'm feeling, I'm not complaining to anyone, none of that, unless to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know from Allah what you might not know." And that's the secret of those people. They the thing that people they're sad about and they always complain about it. When they have that, they don't complain about it. And even if they were to complain about it, they only complain to Allah because they know from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what a lot of people might not know. And he said, وَأَجْرُ جُوعِي عَادِلًا خَيْرًا مُنْعَمِي. And I'm hoping to return to to my home خَيْرًا مُنْعَمِي, while having a lot of blessings. شكوت له عجزي فأشكى وكان لي بما فاق ظني فهو أكرم مكرمي. He says, I complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala my loss. Meaning, how does he complain to Allah his loss? By turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and increasing his acts of worship and increasing also his devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Although it's hard to do, right? In this month, this is what this is about. So, I mean, I hate to say it, and I am also guilty of this. I'm very guilty of this. When everything is good, you're thanking God, but you may not be like tightening your belt and doing all that you can for the Most High in terms of acts of worship. But then when everything turns bad or when certain things turn bad, that's when you come back and that's when you're increasing your acts of worship because you want to get out of your jam. And it's hard to do it, but being on that level at all times through good and bad is the ultimate challenge. Like that's really the ultimate challenge, and it's one that we should always strive for, but it's easier said than done, of course.
That's how you complain to Allah about your loss. When you hear complaining to Allah about your loss, it doesn't mean you tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like this? But no, you turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with humility and you increase your acts of worship. That's how you complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about your loss. And he says, I complain to Allah about my weakness. Fa'ashka, and he erased anything that was making me weak, anything that was making me sad. He prevented it from me. Wakadali, and he helped me and he stood for me. Bima faqadani, with something that I have not, something far beyond my expectations, far beyond my expectation. He says that when I complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about my weakness, he stopped it. Anything that was making me weak, anything that was making me sad, he stopped it. And then he stood for me, meaning he helped me. And all of that went beyond my expectation, meaning I was expecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me this, and he gave me even more, even better than that. فَهُوَ أَكْرَمُ مُكْرِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most generous of anyone who is generous. And he said, نَحَا جَانِبِي مَنْ غَرَّهُمْ كُفْرُهُمْ بِهِ فَعَنْهُمْ حَمَانِي طَارِدًا كُلَّ مُجْرِمِينَ. He says that those people who have been deceived because of their disbelief to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning he was talking about the French people who colonized them, they were not Muslims. And that's why he's saying that those who have been deceived by their disbelief to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of them disbelieving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were deceived. So they attacked me, they came to me, meaning they came to me meaning they attacked me. They saw that I had something that is not to their benefit, so they attacked me. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected me from them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chased away any criminal, meaning anyone who intended to do bad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chased him.
So that's one thing that we have to understand too, that we just have to stay prayed up, and that the staying prayed up works as like a protection mechanism, so we don't have to deal with the succubus and the banshees and the hyenas, you know, because I think, and this I could be wrong, I think that if you believe and you stay prayed up, that Allah will protect you from them. You know, Allah will keep you from them. Allah will like not make them come towards you or anything like that. That Allah will help you. Will have like a force field around you.
Away from me. He said, له الشكر مني راجيا منه مطلبي بلا كلفة مني وقد زال مغرمي. He says, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah alone is my gratitude, meaning I'm thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while hoping that He would give me anything that I ask from Him. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is my gratitude. And I'm hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me what I'm asking from Him with any without any type of fatigue, meaning without any type of fatigue. وَقَدْ زَالَ مَغْرَمِي, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have always or have long before seized my loss, meaning anything that I was expecting that I might lose it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have decreed that I will not lose it. لئن غرني من غره ظن حاسدا فما غرني من قادني بالتكرم. And he says, if the people who are jealous of me, if those people might deceive me or might try to deceive me, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who have given me all type of blessings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself have never deceived me. Meaning those people who are attacking me, those people who are trying to, eliminate me, those people who are doing the best they can to against me, if those people are trying to deceive me, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has never deceived me. Meaning if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't deceive me, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be on my side and will help me until those people won't deceive me. فَمَنْ يُلْقِنِي بِالْجُحْدِ فِي الْبَحْرِ ذَاقِلًا فَقَدْ جَاءَنِي فِي الْبَحْرِ جُويٌ الْمُكَرَّمِ. And he said, anyone who throw me in the sea because he is in denial and because he has hate towards me, then I have met in the sea the generosity of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the best. Then I have met in the sea the generosity of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's saying that if those people, the French people, the colonizers, if they throw me in the sea, meaning they drive me out from my home and they put me into exile. And he uses that word, the sea, because when he was when they were exiling him, they put him on a boat and he traveled in the sea. That's why he always says fil bahr, in the sea, in the ocean. And he's saying that whoever put me in the sea in exile, whoever put me in the sea in exile, because he is in denial, meaning he doesn't accept the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have made me a religious guide, a religious spiritual leader, and all the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me has a um has a powerful man, has a leader, and also has hate, just hate towards me, then know that even if you put me in exile, even if you throw me in the sea, I have met in the sea the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the generosity of the one whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made generous, meaning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's trying to say that he have met and he have received while he was in exile the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the blessings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in many accounts, even Muhammad Amin Job Dagana, who is relating the story, he says that once the sheikh said that when he was in the sea, he have received so much blessings that even the people and the pious people before him did not receive, and that he couldn't have received it if he didn't travel, or if that did not happen to him, meaning the exile did not happen to him. If the people, the French people, did not exile him, he wouldn't have had those blessings.
So, what can be said about that? And I hate to say it, but maybe I really hate to say that, you know, especially for me, monk mode is a test, and maybe right now I'm not seeing the long term things of it, you know, but I'm hoping that by taking this stance, by completely breaking myself off from the Western relationship, dating culture, and things like that, that when I am out of the United States, inshallah, which will be very soon, that that will serve as a blessing for me. That everything that I went through here was a blessing for me. That it was a blessing in disguise. And that maybe if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't have received the blessing, because maybe, for example, when I'm just going to take another example. Maybe, for example, when you do find that good woman, that pious woman abroad or back home, in my case, back home, or wherever you find her at, outside of the Western jurisdiction, you won't take her for granted because it's rare. You know that it's not to be found that often. You know what you had to go through to get there, to get her, you know. So maybe that, maybe in order for you to have that mindset, you have to maybe endure what you're enduring right now. And I think that's what Serene Tuba teaches us, that, um, we have to kind of, in a way, suffer in silence, but not all the way in silence, but in silence in the sense that we don't tell people about our suffering, but we tell God of our suffering, and He'll provide the comfort, inshallah.
So the people who intended bad by exiling him, they did not know that by exiling him, he would receive so much blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why he's saying that those people who are in denial and who have hate towards me, when they exile him, he have met while he was in exile the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the blessings of the Prophet. And he says, وَمَنْ سَاءَهُ كَوْنِي لِمَوْلَايَ عَابِدًا وَكَوْنِي خَدِيمًا لِلشَّفِيعِ الْمُقَدَّمِ فَإِنِّي لَهُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ عَابِدُ خَدِيمٌ لِمُنْجٍ مِنْ دَوَاعِ التَّنَدُّمِ. He says that whoever is mad um, at the fact that I am a worshipper to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever is mad about that, and whoever also is mad about the fact that I am a servant of the Prophet, then know that um, I am certainly a worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and on earth and in the sea, meaning on the land and in the ocean. And also I am a servant of the Prophet, the one who have saved people from anything that causes um, regret. And he also said, وَمَنْ صَدَّ عَنِّي فَالْمَوَاهِبُ أَقْبَلَتْ مِنَ الْوَاسِعِ الْمُغْنِ الْحَفِيظِ الْمُقَدِّمِ. He says that whoever turns away from me, meaning whoever doesn't accept the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me the way I am and turns away from me, then know that the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then know that the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was driven towards me. If you turn away from me, I don't mind you turning away from me, because the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come towards me. Even if you turn away, even if you turn away from me, that will not bother me, because as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving me his blessings, and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming towards me, then if you turn away from me as a person, then that would not affect me in any way, shape, or form.
So let's kind of listen to that and like kind of dissect that. So, for example, um but let's just say that maybe you do take the stance of monk mode, which I have. I've been called all kinds of names. I've been called everything in the book for taking this stance. I've been called everything in the book for just, deciding that I'm not going to engage in these kind of behaviors or engage in the chase, so to say. Um, but it doesn't matter. I've lost friends because of it. I've lost people because I decided that, even in the masjid, I have lost people because I unfortunately have, and maybe this is the wrong generalization to make, but I have made the generalization about the majority of Muslim women who happen to fall under the ideology that are non-Muslim. And I have taken a stance not to engage with them. I have taken a stance not to even court them. I've taken a stance that even if they may send choosing signals, I am not going to engage. I've lost people because of it, but it's okay, because as long as Allah is with me, as long as the lessons of Surin Tuba is with me, which are taken from the Quran and the Sunnah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
And he says, وَمَنْ يُلْقِنِي فِي الْبَحْرِ رَوْمًا لِغُرْبَتِي فَلِي مِنْ إِلَهِ الرَّوْضُ فِي كُلِّ عَيْلَمِ. He says that whoever throws me in the sea, meaning exile me, wishing that they would, send me away from my home, then know that while being in that exile, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me so much, has given me so much things in every single land. In any land that I go, there is so much things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me in that land. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me blessings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the people of that land love me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the people of that land be in my service. Because even if you go back to his travel, it will say that in every city that he went, while the French people were exiling him, to every city that he went, people will come visit him, and people will come give him
Yeah, I mean,
money.
I'm late. Now,
People will come visit him, and people will come give him gifts, and people will come just to be in his service because they know who he really was. And he said, لرب التجائي في حضوري وغيبتي وبالمصطفى أشكو له نعم سلمي. And he says, to Allah is my refuge. To Allah alone is my refuge. Whether I'm staying in my land or whether I'm traveling, to Allah alone is my refuge. And I complain to him by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I only complain to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala anything that saddens me, anything that makes me sad. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the best ladder, meaning the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the best person to whom we should learn how to go to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, how to raise and go to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. ليس عليه صلاة الله ثم سلامه بآل له والصحب مع كل مسلم. And he sent blessings on the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace and blessing on the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
So I'm gonna just get ready, um, to break the fast. I know I've been going on for quite some time now, but I hope you guys got some benefit from it. I hope the replay is not too long, but yes, I've always, tried to follow the teachings of Surin Tuba. I've always, had his casitas, and sometimes you just choose different things. There's a right place and a right time for every writing. Whatever your devotion is, and it's the same thing with just the Quran in general. Like the Quran is at every time, but it's recommended at morning and at the wee hours of the night. And so the casitas work like that too. And so this is kind of the teachings of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, the teachings of Shehu Usman Danfodio have been my anchors in the West, you know, and the teachings of, for example, Imam Shamil, in terms of like masculinity, have been my anchors in the West. And I refuse not to follow them, you know. So, with that being said, signing out, Njarama. And maybe I'll go live on Wednesday, inshallah, maybe. But thank you for tuning in.